and we begin the hour here on YouTube TV on Sirius XM channel 158 with professional poker player and former Westgate Super Contest champion. The same year he finished second in Circa Millions, David Baker with us in studio. Great to see you again. How are you?
Yeah, we are back. It's NFL season, and I'm back with you guys, and pumped up. Lots of fun stuff going on.
I was listening to your podcast today called Gamble Up.
Yes.
You guys did a great job talking about the NFL. And I love, like, at the beginning, you said something like, from this time of the year to this time, I'm all poker. When that's done, I'm just nothing but football from now until February.
Yeah, my wife, now she has now lost her husband for the next 4 months. She says, you know, she says goodbye around this time, and she, you know, I'll give her a little, you know, Tuesday, Wednesday, but. Yeah, it's all football all the time for me now. I've been just inundated doing fantasy drafts every night, you know, working on trying to think of different angles for Survivor. I don't sleep anymore, just thinking about how to best, you know, game the system as far as, you know, taking advantage of all the information that's out there and trying to come up with new strategies. That's kind of the name of the game. I mean, we've all kind of figured out a lot of the basic things in these contests and for betting and for all those things. And it's kind of trying to figure out a way to maybe take that next step and be ahead of the game. When we won the year that we won in Westgate, I was kind of ahead of the game with the COVID and how the crowds and things were going to react. And that's, you know, I contribute that a lot to how I won. So kind of trying to figure out what's my angle for this year.
How about this? With the documentary, and more eyes are on that, and now we're going to get probably close to 20,000 people in the Circa Survivor. Are we ever going to get to a point where it's too public, the knowledge is too public out there to avoid the most popular team in the first week or the first couple of weeks of the season?
Well, I think that's something that's very exciting, and that's one thing that I'm gonna do some work with Survivor Sweat this year on some content, and one of the angles that we're gonna go with is trying to take a look Saturday night when the selections come out, and how is the public really moving, and is the contest and the information becoming so public that maybe you're zigging when they're zagging, and then you kind of go back, and are we at a point where maybe the chalkiest picks are the best picks because everybody's trying to be too contrarian and kind of trying to stay ahead of those movements? I mean, that's definitely one thing that I'm thinking this year is how many people are going to try to get too cute in the Survivor contest, because, you know, all these, now people have kind of figured out that popularity is a big part of Survivor contests. And if we know one team's 74% to win and one team's 68% to win, then, you know, then the 68% team, you know, it has to be selected X amount of times in comparison to balance out all those different factors. So maybe people are zigging. If a large majority of the people are zigging, then maybe your job is to just stay pat and maybe go more chalky, or maybe you have to go down 3 levels instead of down 1 level as far as the pick, and just kind of trying to track that throughout the year. And also, as the contest goes on, who gets upset changes the metric of who's in the contest. Last year, several of the chalk teams lost early, so I found that a lot of the people who advanced were people who took more contrarian plays early. It wasn't the chalk players, because so many of the chalk teams got eliminated the first few weeks that I thought that actually taking more a chalk team a little bit later, you weren't going to get as heavy a concentration as you thought you were, because a lot of those people had a different mindset. Now, if the chalk teams make it through and all the contrarian players are losing in the first 3, 4, 5 weeks, now you're really going to probably get an edge on the contrarian side, because everybody who's kind of advanced has always been taking the biggest favorites. So kind of just watching how the year shakes out to kind of make your strategy. I think you can't be too stubborn in a certain strategy. You've got to kind of see how the season plays out.
Last time you were in studio after you won another bracelet, you said Derek Stevens and Circle always get my business, and you came heavy. Was you tweeted that, we retweeted you as well with the Full House and the Grandissimo. Why did you decide to do the Grandissimo?
Yeah, when it was announced, I was like, wow, that's cool. That's something that, maybe one day I'll be baller enough to participate in. And then I, I went out and I had a great summer. I had the best summer of my life poker wise, and did well financially. And I was like, well, maybe I could do it. And it's funny because I got a lot of texts and tweets and things. Are you going to be part of it? Are you going to be a part of it? And I'm like, I can take part of this, and I can sell some shares to friends and fans and things of your show and other, and my podcast and a couple of the other podcasts that I'm on, and kind of what better way to kind of break into the content world than making a run in something like this, and being able to bring along friends and family and fans out there, and be able to take them on this journey with me. I mean, it's going to have like what? I mean, we're probably going to end around 30, maybe 30, 35. I think we will get another, 10 or so.
That's what Benson said.
Yeah.
He said Jeff Benson's about 35 now.
Yeah, I'm thinking 35. So if we get somewhere, let's say let's take the middle, 33 to 38 of those things. I mean, if you get down to the top 50 in Survivor, the big one, we're not going to be able to sleep. We're going to be so excited. We're going to be spending that money, right? And now we're starting a contest at that point. So It's kind of cool. Like, I mean, I have a legitimate chance to win. And so I have a bunch of friends with me, and some fans have texted me on Twitter. And I posted some shares on Survivor Sweat. I think I'm sold out, but I'm going to put a couple more points on there just because I want anybody who's watching this show to be able to get on there and get a piece. So I'm gonna list a couple points. You're gonna have to be refreshing it because it's probably gonna go quick. But I'll put another couple points on Survivor Sweat. So go to survivorsweat.com, and if you want to take that journey with me, and I'm hoping that we'll get to a point where we'll know what some outcomes are going to look like, and maybe we can all get together here at Circa and sweat it and stuff. I don't think we're going to get to the end like the main Survivor, which is great. We might only have to win 8 or 10 weeks and be there. So
might be done by Halloween.
Yeah.
You never know. So how do they do that? Do they search your name on survivorsweat.com?
Yeah, just go to the marketplace, and my entries will be tagged ODB MG, which is my Grandissimo entry name. ODB, my moniker, and MG is my partner, Mark Gregrich. We do all these contests together. And so, that's going to be the moniker on there. And you can just go to Survivor Sweat Marketplace and search ODB MG. It'll say Grandissimo, and I'll put a couple of 1%ers out there.
Okay, very cool. David Baker, our guest, pro poker player, obviously very good at betting on sports as well. He won the Super Contest at the Westgate during the pandemic year. That same season finished second, almost pulled off the double whammy. That was here at Circa Millions. But you're not back in the Super Contest this year?
Yeah, I think we're gonna pass the Super Contest, and that place will always have a special place in my heart, and I'm sure with Circa as well. And they're the forefathers of this contest. But Circa is just so much bigger, and the app is so much better. And so, we just decided to consolidate our efforts here, maxed out my, the picks here, and just kind of really focus on, I want to win a lot of money. I mean, I'll be honest, I've won some things in my life. I've been very fortunate in both poker and with these football contests to have a few victories, which, they're all once in a lifetime victories, and to have several of them on my resume is nice. Now I just want to win some money, and I don't have to. You don't have to win at Circa to make a lot of money. I mean, you can finish top 5 and make a lot of money. And I really think when it comes down to end game, Mark and I have a real good grasp of game theory and how to play contrarian sides versus chalk sides, and how to differentiate yourself and things like that. So I really like that idea. And also, they have all the quarter contests here and stuff. So even if your entries are out, then, you still have secondary ways to make, 6 figures on just a 4-week window.
Go ahead, Paul.
I was going to say, because the last time you were in, you won a bracelet, and then you also made a deep run. You were the chip leader, and they were down to 3 players left. How much does that sting? Not having it in the bracelet, and then you get well compensated, but not what you could have won. Compare that sting to making a deep run and not cashing, or a similar feeling.
And we have about a minute here, David.
Yeah, I will say that poker is different than the football contests, because poker it kind of all happens over a very, very short period of time. I made the final table, I played multiple hours, got chip lead, then busted. But here in the contest, you're sweating that thing for weeks at a time. So 1 week, and then you have to wait. It's basically like playing a hand of poker every day or something, or it just moves so much slower. So you have weeks and weeks and weeks to feel the pressure and everything. Unlike poker, it's just kind of over before you know it.
It's like binge watching a TV show that just dropped on Netflix, all 8 episodes, compared to like waiting every single Sunday night for the next episode.
Very good.
So you're going to go, you have 10, Mark has 10, and Survivor, do you guys have more than that here at Circa?
Yeah, Mark has 10, I have 10, and then, we each have a small percentage of a couple of friends of ours that we'll just kind of advise with them. But for the most part, we've got our 10 each, and yeah, that's it. And then we have 5 in the contest, in the picks pool, and yeah, so we're out there. We've got some money on the line this year. We got plenty of Survivor entries. We've got the 100K, and we've got all the millions picks. So yeah, we'll be out there gambling.
More with pro poker player and former Westgate champion at the Super Contest, David Baker, up next. His new podcast is called Gamble Up. He made a comment about a little bit of Survivor strategy on his podcast that I found very intriguing, and I agree with. We'll tell you what that is next. It's good to have you on board as we continue here with professional poker player David Baker. He and his partner won the Super Contest over at the Westgate back in 2020. That same year, they finished second by like a hair in Circa Millions. So that was a terrific year. Very good at the contest as well. As being a great poker player, had a tremendous summer. That's why you said you're pretty much all into the contest here at Circa. I listened to your new podcast, Gamble Up. You're going to be putting your stuff out there weekly now?
Yep, we're going to do a show most likely every week. There might be one we miss, but yeah, weekly we're going to kind of do a wrap up and a preview, wrap up of the past week and preview of the next week football. Yep.
And we also plan on talking to you quite a bit throughout the season on this show as well.
For sure.
You made an interesting comment talking Survivor strategy today when I heard the podcast, and that's the way I've been thinking about it the last couple of years as well. Maybe, you have to think about it in 100 different directions, right? What you want to do, planning ahead, teams that you want to be on. You also, I think, need to be ahead of the market, or try to be anyway, on some teams that are figured to have like really, really bad seasons. Like last year, I was higher on the Commanders than the market was, so I don't want to play against them. And you made a point of that, right? You were going division by division with your co-host on the podcast, and you were basically saying, yeah, this is a team I don't want to play against in Survivor. And the one example you brought up was the Giants. I'm in the same boat. Like, I don't want to play against the Giants. I think they're going to be a menace this year.
Yeah, the Giants are the team that is going to look bad a lot of weeks, but they're going to surprise some teams. Their front four might be the best in football. It's definitely going to be one of the top 5 units. And that's how you wreck a game. You wreck a game by getting to the quarterback, causing turnovers. That's how, if you're going to win as a bad team, which I don't think the Giants are going to be a good team, but I think they're going to be feisty and they're going to beat somebody. So I'm going to try to stay away from picking against the Giants when they face teams that have bad offensive lines. They have the perfect recipe to wreck a game. They have a defensive line that can wreck an offensive line, and they have a quarterback in Russell Wilson that will throw bombs. And that's basically the way that you pull off these upsets, is by causing turnovers and chunk plays. You look at a team like the Jets, who I think the Jets and the Giants, in the marketplace, they're kind of viewed similarly. The Jets don't really have a wrecking defense. They don't have a quarterback that's going to do chunk plays. They're just going to kind of need, just kind of everything's going to have to break right for them to win. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to try to, the Giants are going to start on my list of teams I'm not going to want to pick against in Survivor.
Very good. Teams that you're high on this year. Like, you love the Broncos.
I love the Broncos, especially in comparison to the market. Vegas has them. Well, we're in Vegas. Circa has them, I think, 9.5 on the total. They're plus 350 to win the division. That is by far my biggest future, is plus 350. I'm kind of down on the Chiefs. I've always been down on the Chiefs, but again, everything just has always broken perfect for them. What happens when the ball doesn't bounce right for them? They lost Rashee Rice, for the first 6 games, which I think is going to be good from a lot of standpoints, maybe for them to make a run in the playoffs, for fantasy. probably makes his value a little more because he'll be there in the crunch time. But the Chiefs' first 6 games that's a gauntlet right there. So, the team is not going to start at full strength. The Broncos, on the other hand, they have probably the best defense in the NFL. Their offensive line is probably in the top 2 or 3 in the NFL. I think Bo Nix, when you take a look at his back half versus first half of the season last year, he's an ascending quarterback. And so they brought in skill position players, R.J. Harvey, J.K. Dobbins, much better than any running backs they had in the past. Evan Ingram, they drafted Pat Bryant, 1 more year for Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, 1 more year for Sean Payton. I think the arrows are just straight up on the Broncos. And I know everybody knows I'm a big Bo Nix fan, but I think it's warranted. So, yes, Broncos are the team that I am the highest on. So, yeah, I'm all in on Broncos.
A team that's been viewed as going to be a bad team and go under their win total, and actually it could be a disaster seen by some. Are you actually pro Colts?
I am kind of pro Colts. I think Danny Dimes is better than people want to believe. I think he brings an air of professionalism to the team that they didn't have with Anthony Richardson, sense of calmness. I think he also does give that X factor of. I think that there is room for Danny Dimes to be decent. I like their skill position players. I think the Colts are going to be okay. I think so. That division is a tough one as far as I'm concerned. I think Jacksonville's going to be better than people think. I think Indy's going to be a little better than people think, and I'm questioning the Texans' offensive line, and that is a big part of my analysis when I look at teams that I like and don't like. Offensive line is kind of where I start, and the Texans' offensive line is not very good. Probably bottom 5 offensive lines. So we'll have to see how it gels. Rule of don't be stubborn. I'm not going to allow my preseason expectations to rule what I think throughout the year, and I'm willing to change my mind. So let me see what the Texans do early if this offensive line comes together. But I'm definitely worried.
Our friend David Baker, our guest, pro poker player. Go to survivorsweat.com if you want a piece of his grandissime. Also, Gamble Up podcast as well. You were outspoken on X about this, so you came in, you won a bracelet, you shared the story, you were emotional, it was awesome, and then the bleep hit the fan after. The Kasuf thing happened. World Series of Poker, Grinder wins. Also, you were outspoken on this, and I had your back. What is this new nonsense now in poker where even a pro did it? Ike Caxton did it. I go all in. Oh, wait. I keep a chip behind. And then I sit there and tank and wait, and there's no incentive for people at the table to call clock on me because we're all trying to get a pay jump here. How big of a problem is this in poker now where it's you think I'm all in, and then I keep a chip back, and you've been outspoken about this on X.
Yeah, so poker is a game where we're all playing against each other, but sometimes the financial interests of one table are all aligned together. And if we're on a pay jump, the way poker works is every 9 places usually there's a jump in the amount of money that you'll get paid when you bust. So if you are on a pay jump, so if 40 people get paid one amount and then 39 people all get a jump, if you're at a table with somebody who is stalling, then you guys all kind of win together by making sure that somebody at another table busts before anybody at your table busts. So it's kind of a new epidemic that's kind of going on in poker where tables are kind of implicitly colluding per se to make the time off the clock go so that everybody can gain a pay jump. But really what you're doing is you're stealing equity from the other people in the tournament that are playing at a normal pace. So myself and Daniel Negreanu and several other players who are high profile in our industry have kind of been spoken out against this, that we have to figure out a way to make this stop because somebody's getting that pay jump. So if it's somebody at your table getting that pay jump, then you're basically stealing that pay jump from somebody else who may have played 2, 3, 4, 5 hands in the time that you're sitting there waiting for the clock to run out. So there has to be something put in place to kind of monitor these situations and make sure that it's equitable for everybody. So there's a lot of things in poker that are done right. And the one thing I will say about the leaders in our industry is when there's a problem, when somebody figures out a loophole, that we figured out ways as poker players and poker organizers to kind of come in and close the loophole. So I'm sure we'll come up with some solution between now and the next big events and stuff.
Very good. I couldn't believe in the main event the guy tanked for 9 minutes and then complained when the floor came over. It was unbelievable. Need a proxy? You can join the world's biggest football contest with one trip to Vegas anytime before the season starts. Trusted by thousands of players over the last 9 seasons, Winner's Circle Proxy Service helped clients win over $9 million the last 2 seasons. Learn more about using a trusted proxy service. Visit winnercircleproxy.com/VSiN, winnercircleproxy.com/VSiN.
Mariners up on the Padres 4-0, top of 5. Wu has been great through 64 pitches. David, you recently bought a ticket on the Mariners to win the World Series?
Yeah, baseball is something that I had a passion for my whole life, but this year I just kind of checked out with baseball, to be honest. I was so busy with poker and I knew football and everything. But then, in between football and poker, I was like, let me just get one team to sweat for the year. And so I looked at the Mariners. The price was nice. Got a nice little 16-1 ticket. Just a little something to, spice it up. And, their number's lower now. It's like 12 or 13. Mm-hmm. So I got a little 16-1 ticket on the Mariners. So support my friend Mark, Seattle homeboy.
Very good. And the audience can follow you on X.
Yeah, X, AU, David B is my handle. AU is Auburn University. That is my beloved alma mater. And David B, my name. So follow me on X and like and subscribe, Gamble Up Pod, and I'll be on this show, multiple times throughout the season. And,
very good.
Looking forward to it.
Love talking to you. Thanks so much for the time today.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Really appreciate that. By the way, Baltimore, his highest power rated team in the NFL.